Hello, this is Scream Street author Tommy Donbavand, and welcome to Read to a Million Kids, a project by Renaissance Learning, where we aim to read to as many pupils around the UK and indeed the world as we possibly can. And today I'm going to be reading from this book, Scream Street 9, Terror of the Nightwatchman, possibly the spookiest Scream Street book of them all. And in this book, Luke, Rhesus and Cleo have to return a bottle of witch's blood. But before that can happen, Luke and Rhesus awoken to the news that Cleo has been kidnapped in the night, and she's been kidnapped by a terrifying, shadowy creature called the Nightwatchman, who steals children from their beds when they're in the midst of nightmares, and using magic to keep them asleep in his dark tower, he feeds off their fear. So Luke and Rhesus are about to set off to rescue Cleo when the bottle of blood they have to return is snatched from their hands. It's snatched by Sir Otto Sneer, the wicked landlord of Scream Street, who then goes racing off through the jungle, and Luke and Rhesus give chase. Here we go. Luke leapt over a fallen branch and began to chase Sir Otto Sneer through the lush undergrowth. Rhesus just behind. Something did follow us through the hex hatch, he wheezed. It just wasn't a raven. Despite his bulk, Sir Otto was pulling ahead. Smoke poured from the cigar in his mouth and trailed behind him like steam from a train. Suddenly, Luke caught his foot on a tree root and crashed to the ground, taking Rhesus down with him. By the time they had untangled themselves, Scream Street's landlord was out of sight. Luke cursed and kicked the tree that had tripped him up. "We've lost it," he puffed, catching his breath. "The vial of witch's blood has gone." "Well, it's not exactly gone," said Rhesus. "We know who's got it." "Yes, but how are we supposed to get it back?" snapped Luke. "Sneer's bound to hide it somewhere in Scream Street," countered Rhesus. "We'll just have to search for it after we've rescued Cleo." Reluctantly, Luke agreed, and the boys returned to the witch's camp. By the time they arrived back, most of the children were curled up around the fire, asleep. Ursula looked up as they approached. "We have to rescue Cleo," said Luke. "How long will it take us to get to wherever the Night Watchman keeps his victims?" "No time at all," Ursula assured him. "Look." She led them to the edge of the clearing and parted the leaves to reveal a vast black tower just meters away. The building rose up high above the tallest trees, jagged shards of metal jutting out from the top. "That's impossible," protested Luke. "We climbed a tree and looked out over the jungle. We never saw a tower. There's no way we could have missed that." "It doesn't appear until after we've made camp," explained Ursula, "and then it's always right behind us, no matter how far we've travelled. Each night we walk for miles, and the next morning, there's the tower." "But that means the tower is following you," spluttered Rhesus. "Yes," said Ursula, "which is another reason the children sleep during the day. My powers can protect them while the sun's up, but when darkness falls, the Night Watchman's magic is much stronger than mine." "You are rescuing the children, aren't you?" asked Rhesus. "From inside the tower?" "Not quickly enough," replied Ursula fervently. "For every child I save, he takes 2 more from their beds. It's a losing battle, but I can't give up." Luke stared up at the imposing structure. "So you think Cleo's inside there, right now?" Ursula nodded. "Yes, if the Night Watchman took her." "Then we're going in." Ursula and Spider led the boys around the base of the tower. Luke put his hands out and touched the rough stonework, but then quickly pulled them away again. "It has the same effect as the blood," he said with a shiver. "You feel like life isn't worth living." "Don't let the feeling overwhelm you, or he'll win," urged Ursula, staring intently at him. "You have to remember that life is worth living." "Yeah," agreed Rhesus, "but it's worth living a long way away from here." "There it is, Miss Ursula," announced Spider, pointing up to a small metal grill set in the wall near the top of the tower. Luke squinted up to try to get a better view. "What is that?" he asked. "A ventilation grill," replied Ursula, "and our only way inside." Rhesus laughed. "Now I know everyone's mad," he said. "Even if we manage to get up there, we'll have to be chopped into little pieces and posted through. It's tiny." "That's how we get in every time we rescue another child, and so far the Night Watchman hasn't realised how we're doing it," Ursula assured him. Rhesus peered up at the metal hatch. "You getting up there?" "Spider can climb the tower," the witch explained. Then she raised her hand to show black sparks fizzing around her fingers. "And I do have 1 or 2 tricks up my sleeve." Why do I not like the sound of where this is going? Groaned Rhesus. I can cast a spell to miniaturize you both, said Ursula. Once Spider is level with the ventilation shaft, he'll simply slip you inside. Miniaturize us? Exclaimed Rhesus. What are we supposed to do when we get inside? Bite the Nightwatchman on the toe? The spell is temporary, Ursula assured him, designed to wear off after a short while. When you're ready to come back out, use this. She handed Luke a magic wand with a black star on the end. It's preloaded with a single spell. It will shrink you and your friend just long enough to allow you all to escape. I'll make sure Spider is waiting for you on the other side. Okay, said Luke, tucking the wand under his arm. Let's do it. He stood beside Rhesus as Ursula began to mutter a spell over them. Luke's mind swam, and a bizarre feeling began to wash over him. It felt a bit like the start of one of his transformations, only without the sensation of rage. Ursula and Spider were suddenly growing. No, it was he and Rhesus who were shrinking. The boys became smaller and smaller, until they had to stand on tiptoe to see over the blades of grass. The wand Luke was clutching had shrunk with them. Everything had better grow back to its proper size, or Cleo's going to be in even more trouble when I get hold of her, squeaked Rhesus. I sound like a chipmunk. Luke laughed, and discovered that his own voice was no better. It's only for a short time, he said. Don't say short, peeped Rhesus. Spider bent down to collect the tiny boys in his hands. Aw, he grinned. They look so cute. Rhesus glared up at the massive ogre face that filled his vision. Well, you don't, he responded. When was the last time you blew your nose? Ursula smiled at Luke and Rhesus. Now listen, she said. Neither of you will be able to break the Nightwatchman's sleeping spell. Only your friend has the power to do that. She'll have to try to find the strength inside herself. She's strong, Luke assured the witch. You'd better hurry, Spider, Ursula instructed. They don't have long before the spell wears off. Yes, Miss Ursula, said the ogre, tucking the boys into his pocket. He stepped back from the tower, shouted, Power of a monkey! And began to wave his arms around once more. Here he goes, muttered Rhesus, watching the fake transformation from the viewpoint of Spider's chest. The amazing spider fraud. Luke nudged his friend. So, he's a little unusual. Don't say little, either. When Spider's gyrations were over, the ogre spat on his hands and clamped them onto the stonework of the tower. Ooh, 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 ha, ha! He yelled chimp-like. Then he began to climb. How's he doing that? Asked Luke. Ogre spit, replied Rhesus. Strongest natural glue in the world. Just about the only thing it doesn't stick permanently to is the ogre himself. Luke watched as Spider dragged his first hand away from the wall, the thick saliva stretching out until it finally snapped. This could take a while, he said. It would be a lot quicker if he didn't keep pausing to scratch his armpits and pretend to eat bananas, added Rhesus. Steadily, Spider climbed hand over hand until the boys were level with the ventilation shaft. Okay, little fellas, the ogre huffed, clinging on tightly. Rhesus cupped his hands and gave the tiny figure of Luke a lift up to the edge of the grill. Luke reached down to pull his friend up after him. May the powers of the animals go with you, my darlings, grinned Spider as he began to slide back down to the ground. Rhesus leant through the grill to watch him go. I think we've got more chance than you do on that one, he peeped. Ducking back into the shaft, he followed Luke into the gloom. The ventilation shaft was old and dirty. Stale air wafted around them as the boys climbed over piles of dust the size of sand dunes, heading deeper into the tower. The tunnel sloped steadily downwards, and a dim light could be seen glowing at the far end. The boys hurried towards it. Eventually, they reached a second grill. Peering through, they found themselves overlooking a large dormitory. Dozens of rusted metal bedsteads stood in rows on the bare floorboards, and strapped to each was a sleeping child. It looks like it's going to take us a while to find Cleo, Rhesus gulped. Click! Luke frowned at Rhesus. What did you do that for? Do what? Make that funny clicking noise. I didn't, said Rhesus. Click! There! You did it again, insisted Luke. That wasn't me. Then who was it? Click! The boys slowly turned and looked back from where they had come. Crawling towards them was a very large beetle. So there you are. That is chapter 5 of Scream Street 9, Terror of the Night Watchman. And to find out what happens next, you can read the book. And of course, it will all go towards your accelerated reader points. But you can take a quiz. A brand new quiz has been written especially on that chapter for you to take straight after watching this video. So, that's all from me. What else do I have to say? Yes, Scream Street 12, Secret of the Changeling, is out this week. In fact, today is run about, the 6th of July? And on the 7th of July, that's tomorrow, Scream Street 12, Secret of the Changeling comes out. So make sure you read that too. But from me, Tommy Donbavand, and everyone at Renaissance Learning, thank you very much for joining me, and have happy nightmares. Bye!